Welcome to the second day of the UK Cystic Fibrosis Conference 2015. You're all most welcome. I'm delighted to tell you that we have a record attendance here in the conference hall today. And I particularly welcome those who are joining via live streaming. You're most welcome. It's a really important part of what we in the Cystic Fibrosis Trust are seeking to do to widen the involvement and access to events like this, particularly for those, because of cross-infection risk, can't join people with cystic fibrosis. It's a really important part of what we do. And I'm pleased to say that yesterday's sessions were joined by almost 1,000 people via live streaming, which shows that there is a real interest, a real enthusiasm and enthusiasm to engage and to involve in the discussions that we have. Yesterday was a fascinating day for those that didn't attend. It's a tough act to follow today. There were inspiring talks on preventing, identifying and tackling lung damage and developments in cutting-edge genetic and stem cell-based research to find the next generation of transformational therapies to beat cystic fibrosis for good. We heard the latest news from the Gene Therapy Consortium and from a company called Concert Pharmaceuticals and their plans to develop a new CFTR potentiator. Our two keynote speakers, Professor Marcus Moll and Dr. Felix Ratchen, who are still here today, I'm delighted to say, didn't disappoint, and made what I know we all thought were inspiring contributions. There was and is a real buzz here, and this conference encapsulates a key part of what I believe is the Cystic Fibrosis Trust's role in bringing together all parts of the wider community together to discuss key issues, to learn from each other, and to build a shared future together. In so many areas, it is the interdependence and unity of purpose of these groups that is our great strength and value. And that unity and partnership between clinicians, allied health professionals, researchers, academics, industry representatives, families, and particularly people with cystic fibrosis themselves, has been the driver of considerable progress and improvement. We know that the life prospects of someone born with cystic fibrosis today are immeasurably better than those of children born with the condition just 3 decades ago. We know from the recent registered report, and Rebecca will be talking more about this later this morning, 6 out of 10 of the 10,500 people with cystic fibrosis in the UK are now over 16. 7 out of 10 are in work and study, and that the median predicted survival age is more than 40. I want to take this opportunity to applaud and to thank all those in the past and today, including those participating in today's conference, for your immense contribution to improving the lives of people with cystic fibrosis. But we all know that our job is far from done. Too many lives are being limited by the impact of cystic fibrosis and the often crippling burden of care. And too many young lives are being lost to this cruel condition every week for us to contemplate this for a second. We are, however, at an important moment. Professor John Price, who spoke yesterday, described it as a new paradigm. For the first time, we can dare to believe of life unlimited by cystic fibrosis. When a child born with a cystic fibrosis gene can expect to have the same life opportunities and life expectancy as everyone else. Or perhaps even a day when a child is not born with a cystic fibrosis gene at all. We are living through extraordinary times in cystic fibrosis research and drug development, and we must seize the opportunities this creates, both to make a significant difference to the lives of people with cystic fibrosis in the long term, in years to come, and, crucially, in the here and now. To do so, we as a community must continue to work together and to harness and exploit wider changes to healthcare and medical research for the benefit of people with cystic fibrosis. And each of these bigger changes poses questions of us as a community, of how we respond, and how we respond will make the difference between how successful we are in accelerating and maximizing the benefit for those with cystic fibrosis. The revolution in genetic science, we heard yesterday about the next generation of potential therapies in genetic and stem cell technology. Are we doing everything we can to exploit the long-term potential offered by these therapies to beat cystic fibrosis once and for all? The onset of precision medicine, ivacaftor, Kalydeco, is having a transformational impact on those, for a minority of people with cystic fibrosis, and a pipeline of potential new therapies, as we know, are targeting more common mutations. But this will come at a high price. And are we as a community willing to understand and accept the long-term implications of this? Digital technology is bringing new tools and powers to users of healthcare services to take greater control over their health and their well-being. It's an unstoppable wave across all parts of society. How can we embrace it and shape it together for the benefit of those with cystic fibrosis? Big data and informatics, creating new extraordinary opportunities for innovation and research. We have a head start with the CF registry, but do we need to do more to make the big changes necessary? There are, of course, many other opportunities and big challenges too, and I'm delighted that later this morning, we're going to hear from Professor Di Bilton and Kim Cox, both who've made an extraordinary contribution to the life and well-being of people with cystic fibrosis over recent years. And they'll be speaking about some of the challenges that we have in cystic fibrosis, the future funding of cystic fibrosis care, the increasing pressure on adult services as a result of rising numbers of people with the condition, a victim of our own success to some extent, and emerging threats like NTM and other issues. And I believe that we in cystic fibrosis are leading and are well placed to lead on many of the opportunities I've described. But I also believe we can and we must challenge ourselves to be bolder and to be more ambitious if we are really to meet those challenges. And this is also the message to us, the Cystic Fibrosis Trust, from those whose views have not always been heard as clearly as they should have been, but are the very reason we are here today. I'm talking about those who live with cystic fibrosis themselves. It's important, particularly in meetings like this, to remind ourselves that cystic fibrosis is, for those living with the condition, not a clinical or a scientific issue. Cystic fibrosis is a life issue. As Ollie Rayner so eloquently told the conference yesterday, cystic fibrosis is an ever-present issue which he has no break or holiday from. It's a constant issue which he must manage, further complicated by the heavy regime of care. And we at the Trust have spent a lot of time over the last period talking with and listening to those directly affected by the condition. Children, teenagers, adults living with the condition, parents, siblings, friends, and carers. We've used online surveys, we've had meetings, focus groups, and other forms of research. And more recently, we've established a new online platform called Hack It Up. All of us know in this room and down the line, all of us know in our own particular way of the impact that cystic fibrosis can have. But taking time to hear and understand the stories, the opinions of such a diverse range of people, and to be able to delve into their hopes and their fears is an essential part of our commitment to putting the lives of people with cystic fibrosis first. Doing so is always illuminating, always inspiring, and makes us more determined than ever. And the consistent message back from these conversations is the overwhelming desire of people with cystic fibrosis to have the same opportunities, the same freedoms, the same life chances as everyone else. It is to live life as far as possible unlimited by cystic fibrosis. And that's about the big things, yeah. It's about the big things. It's about accelerating transformational drugs and gene-focused therapies. But it's also about the smaller things, like better information to employers and schools and more effective support for people to overcome the barriers and limits at each stage of life with cystic fibrosis. It's about the frustration of having to cram hours of physiotherapy and a barrage of treatments into your daily schedule, a desperation to be spontaneous, to have a sleepover with your friend, to stay out late with your mates, or take a holiday when you want. And there's another thing people with cystic fibrosis and their families want too. They want us, the Cystic Fibrosis Trust, to be bolder in how we communicate both what we do and the reality of living with cystic fibrosis, however uncomfortable that may be for some. We agree. It is time for the Trust to take a bolder, more impactful, more ambitious position in support of people with cystic fibrosis to help seize those great opportunities before us and to confront the big challenges we face, to deliver greater impact and to make a real difference to the lives of those we're here for. So, we are committing ourselves over the next few months and years to mobilize all our resources and those of the wider community in the fight for a life unlimited. A vision that is at the very essence of why we are here and will underpin everything we do. Fighting for a life unlimited is unapologetically designed to inspire the wider cystic fibrosis community and to inspire a whole range of new supporters. We will need to raise awareness, increase our influence, and yes, raise significantly additional funds to do the ambitious things we need to do. And we will increasingly speak with the voice of those with cystic fibrosis themselves, providing a platform for stories and insights with authenticity and passion that can only come from those who really know. Fighting for a life unlimited will be bolder in standing up for the interests of people with cystic fibrosis, even if it means facing controversy. So, an example, yesterday we heard from about some work that the Trust is funding on adult stem cells. Really impressive, groundbreaking work that we're supporting. But we should be at the forefront of the debate, the recent debate that many of you will know about, the forefront of the debate on the use of embryonic stem cells too. Yes, we absolutely agree with the ethical need for effective controls on such groundbreaking work. But if such research offers a potential for delivering an ultimate cure for cystic fibrosis, then we, the Trust, should be working with others to create a robust ethical case for enabling it. Fighting for a life unlimited will focus also on innovation and excellence in everything we do. Our existing research strategies making significant impact with new strategic research centres bringing together the brightest and best in teams to tackle priority issues in cystic fibrosis, such as Pseudomonas and NTM, as well as vital basic science, which, as we heard yesterday, is a vital part of ensuring that progress towards clinical translational research and ultimately to treatments which have direct impact on people's lives. And we're also building new collaborations with other charities and companies on key research projects. We want to build on this by building new partnerships to support enhanced research and innovation capacity in key institutions And we'll be looking to invest in more commercial projects as we start to develop an end-to-end therapeutic development program to get new treatments to people with cystic fibrosis as soon as possible. Fighting for a Life Unlimited is also about developing an expert knowledge base, including development of the CF registry, and as I say, you will hear a bit more about that from Rebecca later this morning, and creating high-quality information to all those that need it. And then finally, and perhaps most importantly, fighting for a Life Unlimited has effective collaboration and partnership at its heart. We have in cystic fibrosis two crucial ingredients for success, and both are represented here at this conference. We have a cohesive, dedicated, world-class clinical and academic community committed to improving and transforming the lives of people with cystic fibrosis. And we have an active, an articulate, and an impatient community of people living every day with the condition, willing to share their stories, eager to have their voice heard, refusing to accept their lot. And when these two parts come together here in the UK and internationally, we can change the world of cystic fibrosis. It's happened before, and it's the essential base for making the step change that is now possible. So we'll look to develop and grow this essential partnership, and we'll provide greater support for clinical teams to improve quality and excellence in care. But we also need to look further afield to build wider partnerships, including people and organizations who probably have never even heard of cystic fibrosis, but can bring expertise, funds and know-how, or insights that can supplement our work in key areas. Partnerships that bring clinical professionals, people with cystic fibrosis and others together to design innovative solutions to problems is the principle behind the Trust's Smart Care CF program to harness technology to give people with cystic fibrosis greater control over their own condition. And of course, we'll be pushing forward with that in the months and years ahead. And it's a model that we will use to promote new approaches to adolescence, promoting activity, and providing new peer-to-peer support networks for people with cystic fibrosis and their families. And these are all issues that are going to be covered in sessions today, I'm delighted to say. Our plans are ambitious, but they need to be if we are able to if we're going to make that step change that we need. It's designed to increase support and raise more funds to help promote the very best research, the very best care, the very best support and campaigns to help the fight for a Life Unlimited. I believe it can, and it must, carry the hopes and expectations of the wider community to improve and transform the lives of thousands. We can look forward with great confidence. By liberating the extraordinary expertise that exists across our community and growing that wider support, we can seize the opportunities before us and truly achieve our goal of a life unlimited by cystic fibrosis.
Without having to worry about cystic fibrosis first. It's about young people with CF being able to go to school more, get the grades that they deserve, and be able to go to university in a way that I never could.